Arab Americans have been here a long time. There were two Arab Americans on Columbus's ships, so we've been around since the beginning of the establishment of this country. But the bulk of the immigration happened in the late, around 1800s, probably early 19th century, 20th century. So we have, like in Brooklyn, where one of my offices is, we have a church that's has a plaque 1750. So we've been here a long time. And it's changed. In the early 20th century, it was mostly Greater Syria, so that would be Lebanon, Syrian, mostly Christian communities. With time, more and more came. Recently, in the 1980s, it was more of the academic and maybe a little bit more Muslim communities, but it's always a mix. So it's been, it comes in flows, and then, it comes and goes. But we've been here for a very, very long time. Little Syria in downtown Manhattan was the first area for Arab Americans, which is, right next to Battery Park and the financial district. So.
Okay. So I know the process of assimilating and arriving to a new place for the first time can be quite intimidating. What are some of the problems that immigrants readily face in the U.S.?
I think it's a mixture. With the Arab American community, it's a little bit more complex because we do face the same challenges that every other immigrant community has faced, whether it's lack of access to language or to jobs, or not understanding the system, and it takes a long time to really assimilate, and you need a lot of help. With the Arab American communities post 9/11, there has been a lot of discrimination and racism again. So there's also a sense of isolation because people are concerned, if you wear a hijab, you're walking down the street, maybe somebody will say something to you. So it's a little bit, it's very difficult for the new arrivals now, I think, more so than it was maybe 100 years ago.
Right, and what do you attribute this difficulty to? Do you think there's a sense of alienation that they face?
There is a sense of discrimination and racism. It's not so much alienation. I think there's discrimination, right? Arab Americans were very diverse. I mean, actually, in the U.S., 67%, for instance, are Christian. But most people, the minute they hear Arab, the fanatical Muslims, right? So it's people conflate lack of education, lack of information, both sides, right? So. So to go back to the first part of your question, other than the challenges they face, which is, for instance, getting legal help, getting assistance in schools, getting English as a second language, getting support, understanding the process in this country. There's so many things that are important. And I think what has worked is what we provide. We are part of a 200-year movement called the Settlement House Movement, which started in the UK but really took hold in New York, and which includes, for instance, University Settlement, which is more than 150 years old. We're the youngest. We became a settlement house in 2009. We are number 37 out of 38. And what that means is we provide services from the cradle to the grave for a specific community. And that has been an amazing experience because literally there's multiple points of entry. We can get the kids for after school, we can get the parents for, get health insurance, we can get mom wanting to learn English as a second language. So it becomes a home for them. And it's, from them, part of them, we're all from the same areas, we've all been through the same thing. So that's work.
Okay. Can you speak more about the programs you have in place to help immigrants with employment, perhaps, or social services?
Right, so we have programs mainly right now. I want to have programs in every borough in the city, but right now I have 2 offices in Brooklyn and 2 offices in Queens, and that's primarily South Asian and Arab American. And the most important services that we provide, for instance, we provide preventive programming, where parents come in with their children and sort of talk through all the different struggles they might have assimilating here. How you advocate for your kids in school.
Is this the anti-violence and the youth program? This is part of the youth program that you have.
Actually, this is called preventive. But then we have a youth program where we do a lot of after school. And we do SATs with Kaplan, we do college preparation. Some of our kids, their SATs went up by 400 points because, they come to us, their parents have never gone to school, they don't know how to help them. The minute you give them the help, they excel. We have English as a second language for the youth as well. And we have, they make what you're doing here. They make lots of movies. You can see it on our website. If you go to YouTube, look up AAFSC, you see over 45 movies our kids have written, directed, produced that talk to you about their perspective of the immigrant experience. So we do domestic violence programming. We do, as I said, English as a second language for adults as well. We're the only health navigator in the city that provides services in Arabic and Urdu as well. So we help people access health insurance. We did disaster relief post-Sandy for anybody who lost their home. We help them through all of that. We have a free legal clinic for immigration. And I told you about the preventive program. We have a high school, the second international baccalaureate high school in Brooklyn. It's called the Khalil Gibran International Academy. And that's a partnership with the Department of Education. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But we have a lot. You can see it all on our website. Oh, and did I talk about teen dating? We are the only agency that provides programming for teen dating for Arab, South Asian, Muslim communities as well.
Well, all those are great. Can you get at the heart of the human needs of immigrants, perhaps? How do you deal with the emotional needs of immigrants arriving here?
So we provide, through this, being a settlement house, and let's say it's like a home away from home, they walk in, everybody speaks their language, right? And we all understand where they came from. We have counselors through our preventive programs. I have over 15 counselors in the center. We provide referrals to anything they need. If they need advocacy, for instance, in school, we go with them. If we show them how to do it. If they need advocacy for medical care, we help them. So basically, they have a community, right? So we build communities. Also, part of this 38 organization network, the settlement house, we work with other settlement houses. So our kids go, for instance, to the Chinese Planning Council, or they go to Jacob Riis Settlement House, or they go to University Settlement to do something together. So they really interact with others. Mm-hmm. And not only do they feel they're also part of the community, but they start seeing that their voice matters, right? And when they work in unity with others. So I think the way we do that is we make them feel they're part of the community, that they're wanted in the community, that their voices are respected.
Okay, so this is part of the, if I would say, the local community. But do you think that immigrants feel, even after 5 years of being here, completely integrated into the U.S.?
There's a lot of immigrants who are completely integrated into the United States. Now, the other side of it are some members of the U.S. community accepting of them as full-fledged Americans, right? A lot of our community members might be first and second generation. And then, they ask them, where are you from? Oh, I'm American. No, where are you really from? And that's something we can't really do much about. It's other people have to reflect on their own attitudes as well. But most of our community are 100, there was a poll, and I can't remember, Pew. It was a Pew Research study, and they did I think like 4 or 5 years ago on Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. And they found they were completely assimilated, and especially first generation, and they felt 100% American. So I don't think the problem is necessarily the immigrants, right? It's those who can't accept the immigrants because of lack of education or understanding or some kind of racist tendencies, I don't know, but that's, I think, it's a more complex situation.
And what policies do you think the U.S. can put in place to help with the integration process?
Well, I'm a nonprofit. More funding for nonprofits and community centers. Certainly support for community centers. More English as a second language in schools. More really helping schools across the country have a more global education, look at other countries as partners rather than, those people across the ocean, right? Maybe speak as part of the whole world, as partners, because then I think a lot of this fear of the other will go away, and this whole thing of, the other person is different from me will go away. So really trying to have people understand we're part of a global community. And I think that will reflect both on the outside and within our country as well.
Right. Well, this is a little more of a sensitive question, but with all the talk of ISIS and recruitment within Western societies, do you think there's a threat of any of the youths who maybe feel socially excluded? Is there a threat of them being recruited? Can you speak more to that?
I can, a little bit. In my case, in my experience, and I've been doing this for 30 years, ISIS to me, I consider it like a cult. And people who go for a cult, there's something happening in their lives that's not right. In the US, I can tell you one thing. I believe personally we've done a much better job at integrating immigrants than they did in Europe. And a lot of that has to deal with this kind of settlement house model where they include people, social services. And you see from this country, I don't think we have as many coming in as from other countries. And I think once you accept people and give them opportunities and make them feel part of the community and provide services, there's such a dearth of mental health services for immigrants, with the right language skills, with the cultural competency. To me, ISIS is a cult. Yeah. So I look at it as a cult. How do you deal with a cult? You deal with ISIS, right? So make people, give those young people the support and the attention. Many might have mental health issues, depression, So, I can tell you through my programming, I haven't had a single, even like close to a single anything. I haven't seen anything like that within the community I have served, so.
Well, I do agree with you that it is a mental health issue, and you have some experience in child trafficking, working with the USAID and UNICEF and so on. Do you think there's cause for concern with regard to ISIS recruitment and human trafficking in general?
I condemn ISIS 100,000%. I think yes, they're kidnapping girls. They're doing human trafficking. They're abusing women and children. They're a criminal gang. If we can stop them, we should stop them tomorrow. So I'm the number one person against ISIS. You can find, but I think it has to be a global effort. It's very dangerous what they're doing. They're using women and they're abusing children. So there's nothing to talk about them. They're criminals, right? And they're very very dangerous criminals to boot as well. So.